Listen.
So what is inclusive higher education? So sometimes you might hear of it referred to as post-secondary education. They're the same thing. Students are attending a program, but being assessed and doing the same things that other kids are doing on campus. They're taking or auditing courses, they're joining clubs, participating in sports, sometimes living on campus, and they spend between 1 and 4 years earning a certificate or a credential. As I mentioned, this is a movement across the country. So this is a map of the United States identifying that we have 328 programs that are currently recorded. And within New York State, there are 32. So within New York, 32 that are either at public community colleges, public colleges and universities, private universities, or vocational schools. And so you can see there's a little cluster of campuses in the New York City area downstate. And the programs vary. So sometimes they're the 18 to 21-year-old programs or the 21 plus model. So how does this work? So depends with, what are the goals of the person, young adult or teen, and whether or not they want to attend college. What supports will be needed. Those are the things that you have to think about. Who provides those supports? And then what is the role of the parent or guardian? But these are all things that have to be considered when thinking about college. So Think College has a wealth of resources and information. I just put this here so that if you're interested in learning more about what other types of programs are available, what kinds of resources are available, you just identify which state you're interested in, and it'll give you a listing of all of the programs that are available. And there's also then a family resource page. So at CUNY, just, to frame it around what we're doing here, we've been involved in inclusive education for nearly 20 years, starting with our first campus at Queens College. There are 5 boroughs in New York City, and we have at least one program model in each of those boroughs. There are 9 college models in total, and approximately 150 students per year attend in our inclusive program model. Here's a breakdown of what that looks like. So there's the Melissa Riggio Higher Education Program, and you're going to hear from Jessica to talk about what these models look like. So these are the 5 schools that participate. The College of Staten Island, Kingsborough, BMCC, Ostos, and Queensborough. And then we have a model with the New York City Public Schools. And those are that's for students 18 to 21 who are still enrolled in school, but take their classes at the college. Okay. We're going to go more in depth on the Melissa Riggio program in this presentation. And Jessica, why don't I pause there? So you can talk about Melissa Riggio. Okay.
Sure. Should I pull my slides? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Is my screen being shared?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm going to talk about AHRC New York City's Melissa Riggio Higher Education Program and how we fit in the partnership with CUNY Unlimited. So just before I get into talking about Melissa Riggio specifically, I'll just talk a little bit about AHRC New York City. AHRC is one of the largest non-for-profit agencies in the 5 boroughs that support people with developmental disabilities in a variety of different settings. There's day hop programs, there's employment services, there's camp and rec and residential. So if the college program doesn't seem like it might be the right fit, AHRC does have a long list of other services that I'd be happy to provide information if somebody was interested. The Melissa Riggio program in particular, which we're going to talk about today, is considered to be a day habilitation program. So our college programs, as Carrie mentioned, we are located in all 5 boroughs. In 2008, we opened at the College of Staten Island and Kingsborough. 2014, Hostos Community College in the Bronx. In 2015, Borough of Manhattan Community College. And we're super excited. Queensborough Community College are in their first semester right now. And it's really nice that we were able to develop a program in Queens, because it definitely was a want by many families and students. So the 5 key factors for inclusive higher education. Academics, our students will sign up for 2 to 3 inclusive courses at their campus site. They are advised, we want students to take classes in the area of their employment interests, and in all of these courses, they're fully supported by peer mentors, and they assist with note-taking. A lot of parents like to hear this. All assignments, the idea is that it will be done on campus with support by the peer mentor, and they also host study groups as well. Our peer mentors are paid and trained by AHRC, and they're typically college students themselves. Student life, a lot of our students, they also want to make friends. So it's not just about going to class and doing homework. We really encourage our students to join clubs. And for me, a great thing about the clubs for our students is if you join the anime club, everyone there likes anime. So our students, you're already finding your people. You're finding people that like the same things as you, and it just makes conversations a lot easier. So clubs are really great for the Melissa Riggio students to meet others. Our mentors also attend the campus events with students. However, if a student, felt like they were comfortable and wanted to do things on their own, like after program hours, they're welcome to. They have college IDs and could come to campus at other times that we're not in program. Civic engagement, we encourage our students to engage with their local community. We want our students to give back. We think that's a responsibility of college students in general. And we do this a lot during the school break. So we are all year round. We run in the summer, we run in the winter, and that's really when we'll do a lot of things in the community with our students. And we feel it helps them discover a sense of their identity. Self-advocacy, we encourage our students to make choices on their own. Students will be the ones going through the advisement and picking the classes that they're interested in. We think this is a really important skill for all young adults, and we definitely encourage students to make choices with the support of a mentor to help them navigate if maybe somebody isn't making the best choice, like the natural consequences of things. We also teach students disability history. We have a self-advocacy course that's taught through their time in the program. So this is something that we work on and encourage throughout their time with the Melissa Riggio CUNY Unlimited program. And the 5th, internships. Just like all college students, Melissa Riggio students, they come to college because they want to have jobs. So we are not an employment program. However, we do seek opportunities for students to participate in non-paid or sometimes paid internships, and we help them develop a resume. All of the campuses have a staff person called an assistant transition developer that meets with students in, their junior, senior year to do some self-discovery to see what students are interested in. And based on a student's interest, we will then seek internship opportunities. And they're all individualized. We don't have like a long list and they pick one. We meet with the students, we do discovery, and then we go out in the community and try to find a good placement for them. And the peer mentor also attends the internship site with the students, so they receive supports at the work site too. Okay. So some frequently asked questions about the Melissa Riggio Higher Education program. So what is it? Like I mentioned before, the program is a day habilitation program. We offer higher education for students with intellectual disabilities. Students engage in lifelong learning, career exploration, and personal growth while in the college community. And we hope to prepare people with intellectual disabilities to be as independent as possible. Our students are with us 5 days a week. In addition to their college courses, we're also helping them develop independent living skills as well. Who is eligible to apply? So people with intellectual disabilities who live in New York City are eligible to apply for the Melissa Riggio Higher Education Program. But these are a few things that are needed for the criteria. People must be eligible for services from the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. They must be enrolled in the Home and Community-Based Service Waiver Program, have a care manager from a care coordination organization. If somebody does not have this right now, you are still welcome to apply. However, I would definitely recommend going through the front door process as soon as possible because it can take time. But if you do not have this yet, you are still welcome to apply, and AHRC can assist families with some, enrolling in care management agencies if needed. Who's a good candidate? The biggest thing that we look for is students that want to go to college. Students that this is their goal. It's not a goal that's, maybe like the parent really wants for them. We want the student to advocate that this is the place that they want to be. In addition, they should demonstrate basic literary skills in reading and writing, have a strong desire for independent, and also to have the maturity to engage in the program. Like I said, students are taking 2 to 3 college courses amongst their peers at the campus, and college classes can be long. They could range from 2 hours to 4 hours. The campus cafeteria is a busy place. So we just, for our students to have the maturity to be in a place that's a little bit less flexible than high school and busy. And like I mentioned, we want people to want to be there. And all applicants will be invited to visit us for 2 days on the campus site. And this is how we kind of assess candidates during that 2-day trial period. How long does it take to complete the program? So at BMCC, it's a 3-year program on campus. And after the 3 years, we offer alumni services, which is community-based. The alumni services is, you could think of it as a transition year where people are taking all of the skills that they learned on their college campus and now taking it into the real world. So after students graduate, we use that years to figure out what is the next step for the graduate. At the other campuses, CSI, Hostos, Kingsborough, and Queensborough, it's a 4-year academic program. So students are on campus for 4 years and then they graduate. And in the 5th year, they receive their alumni services. And the program is administered and maintained by AHRC New York City in collaboration with our CUNY partners. What is the attendance policy for students in the program? So students are held to the same standard as all college students are. Attendance is really important. To miss a class is just going to put a student behind, and that's something we don't want to encourage. But we also encourage attendance even during the breaks, because during those breaks, we are being involved in the community, we're attending internships, and also working on independent living skills. So attendance during the summer and winter are also mandatory. Of course, someone can take a vacation, and of course, someone can take a time off, but it's really important that the student can commit to being in program often. What does a schedule look like for a student? So we are 5 days a week, like I mentioned, all year round. We typically run from 8:45 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. This might be different depending on the campus a student is enrolling. And students will take 2 to 3 college courses at the college with their mentors. And in addition to that, AHRC offers supplemental courses in areas that a college wouldn't offer. And some examples would be money management, sexual education. We spoke about the self-advocacy course, health. So these are classes led by our mentors, and students will take this in addition to their academic classes taught by professors at the school. And when classes are not in session, we use the program hours to complete course assignments. So a student's not going to have a college course every day. But like I mentioned, we encourage students to complete their assignments with us. So when a student's not in class, they could work on their homework, participate in the career development or supplemental material, and also just utilize the campus resources, go to the gym or go to the clubs or, socialize with their peers. So even though they might not have class every day, they will have a full schedule that will fit the 5-day period. Who are the peer mentors and what is their roles? The mentors wear many different hats. I usually like to mention that I started at AHRC in 2008 as a peer mentor, and they're typically college students or recent grads. And I think that really sets up for a nice relationship because you have two people going on an experience together. We hire mentors of all different academic backgrounds, and we do try to pair students and mentors based on interest. And also, if we have a music major, it just makes sense for that mentor to take them to that music class. They actively engage with the students. Like we mentioned, they attend class. They host those study sessions, the internships, the campus life. When we go on trips, mentors are attending as well to provide a unique college experience. And they are paid and trained by AHRC to be able to support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities with different learning styles. How do students travel to classes and internships? We require all students to learn how to travel independently through public transportation or Access-a-Ride. If somebody has not had the experience of traveling on their own, we do provide travel training where one of our mentors will meet at the person's home, teach them how to safely get to the school. And then once the person, the mentor, and the family feel they're ready, we complete a full assessment to see if that person's ready to do so. And we can supply a GPS device for a brief period of time. And I'll also mention we reimburse all travel. So students taking public transportation will receive a weekly Metro card. And for Access-a-Ride, the student would submit receipts and receive a cash reimbursement from us. What happens between semesters during the breaks, the summer, the spring break, and winter? We are still in session. AHRC does not follow the CUNY calendar. So there are going to be days where there's no school, but AHRC is open. And during that time, we use curriculum to, that might be more interest-based. We have the academic curriculum that we offer, but then we also have like interest groups as well. We take students on trips, and we try to make those breaks still, like they're still building skills, but we try to do it in a more like fun way. And the community really becomes like a classroom to us. And, we take students out to different boroughs. We do campus meetups. So even though there's no school, they're still receiving like meaningful material. How do we prepare students to become full members of the community? We assist students in acquiring essential life skills, fostering their ability to self-reflect, make informed decisions, and embrace challenges. We encourage students to build strong social networks within the college and also their community. And we provide support and inclusion in all aspects of college life, helping students develop a strong sense of self in the campus environment, workplace, and wider community. What do the alumni services look like? So after a student graduates the academic portion of the Melissa Riggio CUNY Unlimited program, they stay with us for an additional year. That's really, like I mentioned, a transition year. They use the skills that they learned on the campus and now are translating them into real life. We find some students, during that time might continue to learn new routes for independent travel or continue with their internships. We have some students that have chose to pursue their GED during their alumni year, and we support them in those courses as well. They still are supported by the same peer mentors that they know, but the big difference is they're no longer meeting their mentor on the campus, but rather they're meeting their mentor in a community space. And those hours could be a little bit more flexible, depending on like the plan for the day. If they're taking a community class, maybe they're not meeting at 8:45, we could have a later start time. So a little bit more flexible for our alumni students. And what will I get after completing the program? Applicants are applying to a post-secondary education certificate program. Admitted students will receive person-centered supports and engage in a fully inclusive college experience. Students who successfully complete the program will be eligible to earn a CUNY Unlimited credential in academic and career studies and receive a personal profile when they graduate. Carrie, do you want me to pass it to you for these slides?
Sure. Thank you. Yes. So when thinking about, okay, thanks. So CUNY Unlimited is the name of the program that we give to the broader inclusive program. So it includes the Melissa Riggio program as well as our partnership with the New York City Public Schools. And so it was developed through a grant partnership that we had with AHRC in New York City, CUNY, the JFK Junior Institute for Worker Education, CUNY School of Professional Studies, New York City DOE, and the University of Rochester. So a lot of people came together to formalize this program. And what it does is it expands access to college for students with intellectual disabilities. Unlimited enables students participating in Melissa Riggio program to have fuller access to resources on campus, and students are enrolled in college courses as well as enrichment courses to support their academic, social, and vocational success. Next slide. So what does it look like? Here's a breakdown of a program model for 36 credits. This is the four-year program. And so there's an academic component that's focused on academic and vocational goals. And so a student would have 4 classes that relate directly to what we would consider like a mini major, elective classes that are based on, just general interest, and then some courses that are related to what we're calling future you. So, who do you want to be out in the community, and how might some college classes help you get there? Then there's a vocational component, so work-based learning. These would be internships, as Jessica mentioned, both could be paid or unpaid, and that would be about 450 hours across the time that they're enrolled in the program. And then a social component. So about 90 hours of campus membership. And so that could involve advocacy, civic engagement, which would be like volunteer opportunities, either on campus or in the community, and participation in clubs. And then there's just, other supports and courses that you have that are related to academic success. So it could be, taking the college orientation class, developing transition skills, and career exploration. Then the balance of the time would be in that one-on-one, could be tutoring, instruction or coaching, and that's, meant to support the academic progression throughout the credential, and that could be one-on-one. At least half of the time that a student is enrolled in the credential would be spent with peers, meaning in an inclusive setting. And then the balance of the time would be in that one-on-one or with people enrolled in the program. Next slide. So how are resources, how's the program funded? So supports and services provided by AHRC are funded through Medicaid through the waiver program. And then for what's happening provided by CUNY, the college experience provided by CUNY is funded by the U.S. Department of Ed through federal student aid, family contributions, and scholarships. So for the programs that are registered as comprehensive transition programs with the U.S. Department of Ed, it allows for students to apply for and receive federal aid if they're eligible. We also do a good bit of fundraising to develop those scholarships and help balance out students' expenses if federal aid doesn't cover the full thing. And so what do you need to know about tuition costs? So CUNY Unlimited is in the process of applying to become an approved comprehensive transition program at all of the campuses. Currently, we have that status at 3 of the 5 schools. And tuition and program fees will give you information once we complete the process. Eligible students enrolled in a CTP would have the opportunity to apply for financial aid. CUNY Unlimited programs at BMCC, Ostos, and Queensborough are already approved for federal financial aid. Most of the students who are currently enrolled are fully covered through their aid package. CSI and Kingsborough are in the application process to achieve CTP status, so we're working on it. Those campuses have not yet gone through the process. So what types of federal aid are available? So this particular model allows for students, if you have an intellectual disability, you may receive funding from the federal Pell Grants, SEOG, which is financial support that goes directly to the student, and then federal work study, which allows for students to work on campus but be paid for the work that they're doing. You don't have to have a high school diploma to apply for federal aid as it relates to a CTP. You just have to be enrolled in a CTP, must have an intellectual disability, have to meet a satisfactory academic progression. And so we have, guidelines for what that means. It means the classes you take, you pass, but pass in a way that is based on the goals for the student and the goals for that class. And they meet aid eligibility requirements. So generally that's income-based. You're not required to have a high school diploma or a GED or a task or high school equivalency. And you're not required to be pursuing a degree or certificate. In this case, you're pursuing a meaningful credential. So how do you find out if you're eligible? So starting in December, when the application becomes available for this year, students and families would apply through the FAFSA website. Every school year, a student would apply for the coming year. So completing the form is free, and then get started. It's www.fasfa.gov. For students entering the 24-25 academic year, the deadline is June 30th, 25. However, for aid for next September, we're encouraging folks to apply once they are accepted into the program. So as soon as you have more information about your status with the application,
turn that water off.
then you would apply for federal aid. For more information about how students with intellectual disabilities may be able to obtain certain types of federal aid, the federal government has more information at this link provided. So Jessica, do you want to? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what college expenses are covered by the Melissa Riggio Higher Education Program? The program covers supplies and textbooks for courses, notebooks, planners, art supplies if students are taking art classes. We also cover the fee for public transportation through a weekly Metro card, Also, we do reimburse for Accessoride. We do not pay for lunch, but there's many options for students. They could bring their own lunch. There's microwaves throughout the campuses. Each campus has a cafeteria, and some campuses also, if you just exit, there's places that students can purchase lunch, but it's up to them if they want to bring or buy. How can I apply for the fall 2024 admission? So here's a link to our website where you can find the application and all the materials. And there's two parts of the application. Part one, which goes to CUNY, we'll go through what that part includes. And then part two is going to come to AHRC referrals department. And our the deadline for the fall 2024 admissions is December 1st. So it is approaching. For part one, that's submitted to CUNY. And again, the application can be found on the website. The CUNY Unlimited student application, in addition to that, proof of citizenship. So birth certificate and ID, and also proof of high school diploma, credential, or proof of high school enrollment. If you're still in school, we can also take a letter from the school saying that you're currently enrolled. And then part two, which is sent to AHRC through mail or email, applicants would send their IEP, a psychological and psychosocial evaluation, 2 recommendation forms. A question I get a lot is who should be filling this out? I recommend, a teacher, a counselor, somebody who knows the student really well. That's not, their parent. A medical history self-report, a HIPAA 2, which allows us to, share information with CUNY, and a cover sheet that has contact information. So we can reach you. Where do you send the materials? So part one is sent to CUNY, to unlimited@cuny.edu through an email. And part two could be emailed to referrals@ahrcnyc.org, or it could be mailed. And if anybody, this is also on our website, the email addresses and the mailing address. So a checklist for student and families. So the first is attending a CUNY Unlimited info session, which is optional and which is where we all are today. This is our last one. Complete CUNY Unlimited application by December 1st. Everyone that applies will be invited to a orientation, which acts as part two of the application. It's a required meeting where we'll really go through the nuts and bolts of the program in more detail than we have today. And then after you attend a orientation session, the applicant will be invited to spend 2 days on the campus without their families and work with our mentors and complete some interviews and some worksheets and that we have for them, and to see if it's a good fit for them as well. I got a little ahead of myself. So like I mentioned, so after in January, students will come for the 2 days as if they were in the program. Families will receive a letter from home of acceptance. I will also mention currently we can only take 5 students at each campus. So it is a competitive program. And once a student is accepted, we will then work with people to make sure that they, through the care manager and OPWDD eligibility, that, if you already have it, that, your care manager is getting you the day have service that you need. Families will complete the FAFSA and TAP application with, we can provide support from someone from CUNY to help families with that if they have questions. And then confirm medical health information are complete. So immunizations and also just some of our documentation needed for somebody receiving services through AHRC. CUNY Unlimited checklist for, sorry about that. Let me go back. I don't know, my computer is doing this all on its own. Okay. So what you can expect from CUNY Unlimited staff: claim your student ID, you'll get an ID number, and CUNY First account, confirm your student email. All students will have a student email address. They'll They'll schedule an intake appointment for the Accessibility Disability Resource Center to set up some accommodations, schedule intake and academic advisement with CUNY and AHRC staff. So students are advised by both a staff member from CUNY Unlimited and also AHRC, Melissa Riggio, help students registered for their 2 to 3 courses, and also confirm financial aid process is on track. Did it again. I think that was the end of the slide. That was the end. Here's just a picture. I think this is our first group of graduates at Hostos. Here's some contact information. So Kensaku Matsuda is the program director for Brooklyn and Bronx residents. So that's Hostos and Kingsborough. Myself, Jessica Giorgio. I oversee the Manhattan program at BMCC and also Staten Island, the CSI. And in Queens, we have Johnny Barry, who is the program director over there. And here's the email again for the referral, the RIC, the Referral and Information Center, and their phone number. Okay. It's the end of the slides that I have. Should we open it up to any questions?
We have a couple of questions in the chat. So Lucia says, my son is in 12th grade and he's going to graduate with the local diploma. His condition is autism and ADHD. He's very excited to be a director for movies. He can do that for your program, or does he have to go to different types of classes? His name is Andrew Ventura, and he's enrolled in self-direction. The local diploma wouldn't be required. I don't know how with the if he would qualify for OPWDD in the ways that you would typically require, Jessica. And so maybe this is more like should you schedule some time to talk?
I think so. It seems, since Andrew is enrolled in self-direction, it seems that he does have the waiver. And with self-direction, in terms of day have, like, it really depends on everyone's budget is different. So that would definitely be a conversation for offline. And that's really cool. A film director, it seems like those classes in media and film might be good courses for him. And that's also going to depend on the campus and like what they offer. You know, I don't know if there's like a specific class for film directing, but I know at least at the schools I work with, there's acting courses, there's communications, media. So we would work with him to do some advisement to see where he would fit.
How old do you have to be in the program? I heard 21 is the start. Is that true?
So we typically say 21. However, if somebody was 18 and they felt and their family felt that they had the maturity to be on a college campus, we welcome them to apply. But usually, typically, our students enroll at 21 because they leave high school with the skills and achievement diploma rather than a Regents or local. And that's why typically our students are 21.
Okay. And then, is there an upper age limit for the program? My daughter's 25.
Nope. No age limit on the other end.
Okay. So why don't we go to Mary Lou, who's got her hand up?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. I have 2 questions. One, maybe you covered it and I just didn't catch it. The mentors for the students in the Melissa Riggio program, does a student have one mentor for the entire year or one mentor for the entire program?
That's a good question.
Can it change? Does it change by class or activity or?
So the students will typically they will meet all of the mentors that we have, and the mentors play different roles. If a mentor is paired with a student for an English class, it will be the same mentor in that English class the whole semester. It's possible they have a different mentor for their film course. And we do that because a lot of our mentors are students. So a lot of them are part-time, right? So they don't have the availability to be somebody 5 days a week. So they'll have a clear class mentor for the semester. And of course, if somebody calls out sick or is away, we find a substitute. And then they might have a different mentor that's teaching them, the supplemental materials, as like the money management course. So they will get a chance to work with more than one person. And we really do try our best to pair people together that want to spend, the day together. So
Right.
they'll get to know everybody. And I will say, when students are accepted, they typically start with us on August 1st. So we use that month before college starts to really get to know the new students, so we could start thinking about those pairings.
Great, thank you. And did I hear correctly? Each class, every year's class in the Melissa Riggio program has only 5 new people?
Per campus.
Per campus.
Per campus. There's 5 persons per campus. Okay, so it is competitive. Okay.
Yes.
And that's based on the entire packet of material recommendation and the 2 days that the student spends going to classes and talking with people there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. So let's see. So tuition costs, currently $4,800 per year. And that in addition would include, or I should say add on activity fees, a technology fee, and the consolidated fee, which generally is another, say, $200 to $300. But it's the rate of tuition for full-time enrolled students. Let's see. So another age question. My daughter was born 8/22, and she becomes 21 then. Does that qualify? So it really is about like separation from school, because you can't be funded from 2 different sources, and maturity, as Jessica mentioned. So it's about her readiness to be there. Can you apply to multiple programs at the same time? Alan, could you say more about that?
Sure. So since it's so competitive, could my daughter apply to Kingsborough and apply to the school in Manhattan at the same time? That was the genesis of the question.
Okay. So the applications are for the borough of residence.
Okay.
Yeah. For Melissa Riggio, I think we consider it all the same program, just different sites.
Okay.
Okay. If one applies for financial aid through FAFSA and is denied, does that mean that Medicaid can cover the total costs? I don't think so. I mean, I guess if you were using self-direction, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. We do try to support and supplement as best we can with scholarships that are need-based. So if we find somebody who's not eligible, we do try to like help cover the costs. Any sense of how many applications you typically get relative to the number?
It varies every year.
Right, it does.
It varies every year. I could only really speak for my 2. I had maybe an average of like about 18 to 20 at both last year. So it really it varies.
Yeah. To what extent do participants take the same classes, or in what ways are they glued together throughout the days and weeks?
So in a college course, we would not send more than 2 Melissa Riggio students to a class. Typically, a student could be the only Melissa Riggio student with their mentor, but sometimes students want to take the same thing. And, we have our program hours, so there's only a certain, we can't really just take anything, right? So Sometimes students are paired in groups of 2, other than, that would be a limit. For the supplemental courses, the group size might be a little bit bigger. And typically we run those courses by cohort, which is a group of 5.
Thanks. Jackie, you have a question?
Yes, I'm not clear on the Kingsborough campus. You said they were still applying for the CTP, for the Kingsborough campus, if you live in Brooklyn, how much is the tuition if it's not yet set up with the FAFSA?
So currently there is no tuition cost to CUNY, at CUNY.
And with all the other fees, that is everything covered at Kingsborough then at this point?
Not covered, but not funded either. So I'll leave it at that. Currently, there is no tuition cost.
Okay.
Along with the other fees, the no cost to students at the moment.
And I have another question, if I could.
Yes.
So
please.
If the student has a certain area of interest, before they apply, how would you assist the student to access, say, the Kingsborough campus to see if what they are interested in or what they would like to study for their career is offered at the Kingsborough campus? How would you access like a list of courses?
So there's on each campus website, there would be a under academic affairs. You would be able to see what majors are available, and with those majors would be course listings. What we have in terms of availability to classes also could depend on if there are any prerequisite requirements, if there's, if you have to be in a declared major. Like, these are the ways that sometimes we wouldn't have full access to certain things. But we do try to work with the campuses and the faculty on opening access so that if there is a prerequisite, that it could be waived for that student to be able to participate. Okay, since they won't be in the actual degree. But
so when you go to the campus and you're in that first phase, that's when you're interviewing. The student can ask and say, like, what would be available to me? Should I,
right, if they have a particular interest. Okay. And our aim is to really try to, make sure that the experience that they have is, aligned with what they want, right? And how then might you develop certain skills or knowledge based on a class that might be related, but not the exact course. So, it depends. But we're trying creatively to make sure that students have the experience that they want.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome. Do you have a nursery school assistant teacher class?
I think that also depends on the campus. I can say at BMCC, they do have a great early childhood track. I also want to mention too, like, sometimes someone's interest might not fit completely in a course, and that's where those internships could come into play. Where we can give somebody an experience more hands-on. Like at CSI, I'm not sure, but we have somebody interning at the Child Center on campus, right? So maybe it's not a college course, but it's an experience that we can develop for that person if it's not offered.
Chelsea, there's a question about a 504 instead of an IEP as far as documentation.
You could submit that.
Okay.
I will say, I do know, like, some people maybe have been out of school for a while and don't have certain things. And if you don't have IEP and you have a life plan, you can send that. We'll work with you. If you get your application in, and you're missing something, somebody will be in contact with you to figure out how we could get what we need to be, considered.
Great. Any more questions? So I encourage you to, just apply, and at least start the process. And as Jessica shared, the orientation sessions that we do in December will go a little more in depth on program expectations and, what to anticipate. Just in general, I would say. So a couple of weeks ago, we had one of our students she's in her alumni year now, present at a meeting with we had a funders meeting where we invited people from different foundations to come and hear about CUNY student experiences. And so we had a Melissa Riggio alumni come and talk about her experiences and how much she grew from being in the program, and just all of the things that she learned about herself and really how she honed her interests. She talked about her work experiences. She had just finished an internship at the 9/11 Memorial Museum. During the pandemic, she was working with a daycare center where she was a book reader so she would record herself reading books and submit, several books a week to be pushed out to the kids who were at home because they weren't coming to school. And so it was a really great way for her to connect her desire to work in early childhood as a first, experience. And so she, at the end of the semester, was able to, meet the class and, by way of Zoom. And, so it was pretty cool. And so we do look for very, creative ways for like how to engage. And they do start thinking about what those career interests would be. Like, how do you take an interest in, like, is it a dream job? Is it something that you're just interested in? Not just, but, it's more of a passion, not necessarily a line of work that you're thinking. But then how do we find classes that align with what you're interested in? And really help students like identify those things for themselves if they don't yet know. But a lot of great opportunity to meet really fun people, and think about themselves, after school too. So please, please, please apply.
Just one quick question. So when you said that you get, it varies from year to year, obviously, you get about 18 to 20 applications. Is that 18 to 20 applications in total, or is that for each borough?
For each borough. And
Okay.
I'm just going
It's
based
competitive.
on last year, but it, like I said, it's varied for me throughout the years of interest.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Well, we look forward to receiving your applications. And Jessica, you want to close out?
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Actually, wait, I have one quick question.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
please.
Just really quick. In the process for the application, I know there's an updated psychological that has to be done. And I know, is that also due on December 1st? Because I'm from Staten Island, and I'm finding it so hard for me to get an appointment with a psychologist to get my daughter her updated one, because it's been over 3 years. So I'm trying really hard, but if there's something like that can be submitted afterwards, would that affect her application, or everything has to be done by December 1st?
Send what you have. Send what you have now, and the most important piece is to get the application in. Anyone who's an application to unlimited at cuny.edu will be invited to the open house.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. It's like I said, I've been scrambling for like months now to get a psychologist who has the time or day, or who can give me an appointment. I'm getting appointments January. I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, we get it. So send what you have, and that's
okay.
totally fine.
Yeah, because I have everything else pretty much all up to date. That would be the only thing, and I just don't want that to affect the application. So
No,
Okay, great.
they'll still be
Perfect.
invited in December.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Look forward to seeing that one. I'm from
Yes.
Staten Island.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, is there a
Sure.
question?
Oh,
I just have one more
yes,
question.
Delia. Mhm.
Sorry, I'm Talia's mom. Are you going to email the slideshow? I didn't hear that, so I wasn't sure. The slides today, will that be emailed or downloaded?
I'm not, this David Tippett. I could
I don't
email.
know. We can check. Yeah.
No, just because we were writing it really quickly, the notes, so I didn't know if, because you had a lot of
Yeah.
information in there, so I didn't know if that's a slideshow that you,
I'll have to check. I'm actually covering for who usually facilitates his slides. But I did send out the link from the Mr. Hep account. I'll email our website, and that way you can pull it and like the application checklist.
so it's all on there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I'll send
Okay,
that to everybody, and on that website will be my contact, Kansaku and Johnny. So if you do have questions following this, you could even reach out to me, and I'll get you in contact with the right.
okay, terrific. All right, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question is, if you're not accepted, can you apply again?
Yes. So you can apply again, and like I mentioned in the beginning, AHRC is a very big organization. So typically, if someone's not accepted, if they'd like to request, a time to meet with the program, we can refer people to other AHRC programming. And if a person decides that they want to try maybe another day hab program or something within AHRC, we could make it known that this person is interested in Melissa Riggio, and that year that program could work with them to kind of maybe work on certain skills to make them, an even stronger candidate than the year before. And we've had that happen many times where someone has applied and they were not accepted, but were accepted the next year. So it's happened on
Question:
many occasions.
Can the home high school send recommendation letters through the Common App? No, these applications are not linked to the Common App because it is at the moment going through a separate admissions process. So all of the documents need to be forwarded to the email addresses provided.
Jackie?
Yes,
I have one last question. Do you know when the orientation is in December offhand?
I don't, and it's going to be different for each school. So depending on where you apply, will be you'll be reached out by the program director with the date. In the past, because we do know, like, we do try to do them in the evening. We do them virtually, which is usually easier for people to get to where they need to get. In the past, if someone really couldn't make it, the family, we can share the other options that the other schools are having. It might not be like 100% the same, but at least it'd be similar of information. But so yeah, so it's going to depend. We try to do them all on different days. So if somebody couldn't make one, they could jump in on another campus.
All right. Thank you
all for coming. I'll
Thank you
send
very
out-
much.
Oh, you're welcome. An email later today with
Thank
my
you.
information and our website. And we hope you apply.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
Have
for
a
being
great
here.
day, everybody.
Good day.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks.
Nice group.